Well, hello everybody. Had to do a new stream for some reason. I don't know why. Hopefully my old one's gone now. Let me take a look. Uh, anyways, here we are back. Hopefully everybody that was on my old one figures out that I have a new one going now. I'll wait till people come in. Weird. Okay, we got it. Everybody's here. Good. Yeah, there was some problems, but we're back at her now. I'll go a little longer today because of that. Don't want to take away from your time. Anyways, Sasha, how you doing, buddy? Here we are at Pearlo Land in the evening. Isn't that lovely? We had some big things happen. I had a long weekend. I had a weekend off. It was great. We went out to Banff, Alberta. If you ever get a chance, you got to go there. Hey, Hockey News Reports. Sup? We went out to Banff, and which is Banff, Alberta. If you're not from Alberta, check it out. It's beautiful. I got some TikToks that I did. If you follow me on TikTok, just look for Pearlo on TikTok. You can see it's amazing. You got to get to Moraine Lake, I'll tell you. Voted first or second most beautiful place in the world on YouTube. All right. I'm glad you're doing this in the evening. Gives me something to be at. Yeah, I'll be doing this Tuesday and Thursday evenings now. We're going to see how the evenings work out. Yeah, have more people be able to watch it because a lot of people work and stuff. But man, we got a lot to talk about today, don't we? Holy smokes. First, we're going to talk about the Keith trade. So, what do you guys think about the Keith trade there? I am really on the fence about it. Here's the thing. Okay, I live in Edmonton. I'm an Oilers fan. I'm more of a Vegas fan, but that's another thing altogether. But the Edmonton Oilers have had a difficult time getting people to play to getting free agents to come to Edmonton for years. For so long now, it's like ever. You think Edmonton's getting the better end of that deal? Here's the thing. In the cap world, in a flat cap world where there's supposed to be not much cap space out there, taking a $5 million 38-year-old player, albeit a very good for 38-year-old player, to me is a little bit much, and you have to give up a third. Now, I don't mind the Jones because I don't think Jones was going to be in the long-term plans of Edmonton anyways. But giving up a third can be a really good pick. I mean, we've seen lots of third rounders do pretty well. It's just, and no, didn't retain any money. And now I did a video on it here just recently, today actually. You can check it out. I did a video on it. But Holland said that if they would have retained money, Van Hook, how you doing, buddy? Van Hook in the house. If they would have retained money, it would have cost them even more. Am I missing something here? Are we living in a flat cap world? $5 million. He wasn't he had a no movement clause in his contract. The only places he would go to, basically, he said he wanted to be by his son. So that would leave Seattle. I sure as heck can tell you this right now. Seattle would not be giving a third-round pick to get Keith. They would have had to leave him exposed, and Seattle still wouldn't have touched him. They would have had to actually give Seattle a pick to get Keith back. So to get rid of Keith, I should say. So, and then Vancouver seemed out of it pretty much all the way through. CL, hey, how you doing, buddy? Vancouver seemed out of it all the way through. So, who else did they have any competition for Keith? I guess the only thing I could think of here was that they didn't have to give up Keith, really, right? They went to Keith and said, hey, would you consider, taking away your no movement clause, or, give us some teams that you might go to. Would you consider it? And then he said, well, if I got to go, I suppose I'd like to be closer to my son. I think the smart thing to do with, okay, I'll answer that question in a second, Kyle, but that's a great question. I'm not saying I know the answer to, but I'll give my opinion to it anyways. But where was I now? Yeah, like the only real leverage the Chicago had was we'll keep Keith because he wasn't going anywhere else. So they basically said, we're not going to give him to you. He'll stay here. We'll keep so why are you even, unless Keith said, I want to go, in which case Edmonton has all the leverage. You see what I'm saying? So Edmonton could have just said, we're not giving you a third. We're not paying the $5 million. If you want to get rid of him, you give us, we'll give you a third if you retain even $1 million or $1.5 million. And they say, well, no, we'll just keep Keith. Is that really what they want to do? I doubt it. So I don't know. My theory is that it's very difficult to get players to go to Edmonton, and they don't want to be left out empty-handed. Now, imagine they don't go out get Keith like they did. Free agency opens. They go out and talk to all these defensemen that they want and whatever, and they don't get anybody. Then everybody in it, well, the Oilers didn't do nothing. So I get what Holland was saying, though. I do agree. He brought up the veteran players on Montreal and Vegas and stuff like that. And he brought up those guys. But when you think about that, Perry signed with Montreal for league minimum, $750,000. He signed to Montreal for. Now Minnesota goes out and buys out Suter. It's not. I don't think it's going to cost $5 million to get Suter. But would he go to Edmonton? Maybe he would. It's not far from Minnesota, but he is an American, so he might not want to be in Canada. He might not want to live in Canada. I don't know. There's all those things that have to go into it. Do I think they'll put, okay, now you ask, how do I think that they'll use Keith? I think it would be best, from when I watched Keith last year, he played a lot of minutes last year. And if you look at the analytics, and if we had Peyton on here, he'd tell you, players seem to play better when they weren't playing with Keith, which isn't a very good analytic. However, I think they played him too much. If they played him like 50, he was playing like 22, 23 minutes sometimes. If they play him like 15 minutes to 16 minutes a night, maybe like on the second power play unit tops, and play him 5-on-5, as you're saying, with McDavid to give him the best chance to, get that puck out of the zone. Remember, Barry got most of his points as second assists. I think Keith, if given the opportunity, can get 25 to 30 points just on getting the puck up out of the zone and getting a lot of those second assists. Yeah, 15, 16 minutes a night, somewhere around there. I mean, he can still skate pretty well. He's not the elite skater he was when he was 31 years old, of course, but he's not bad. He can skate the puck out of the zone, and he's smart. Yeah, we'll get into that buyout, too. That was freaking awesome. But, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Holland did mention in the Journal posting, and you can see all this in the video I did. He talked a lot in the Journal about the trade and why he did what he did. He sees him as a top 4 defenseman for Edmonton. And I suppose he probably is, but is Keith going to be a top 4 defenseman on great teams? Would he beat out Edmondson in Montreal? Maybe. And he's not going to be a top 4 defenseman in Tampa Bay. He probably wouldn't be a top 4 defenseman in Colorado. He probably wouldn't be a top 4 defenseman in Carolina. He might, at this moment, be a top 4 defenseman in Boston. But for the most part, on really, really good teams, he's probably not a top 4 defenseman. So when you think of the Oilers, is their defense complete? I don't know. You guys tell me what you guys think. So, yeah, that's I'm on the it's tough because it's Edmonton. I think, okay, that's what I wanted to mention. I think a lot of general managers and teams know what they can get before free agency gets open, okay? You're not supposed to talk to anybody and all of those things like that. I don't believe that happens. I don't believe they actually just wait for the free agent bell to ring and then all of a sudden they're talking to everybody. There's ways around, there's a ways to use people that can call agents and stuff like that, and you get an idea of where you may go. Now, Edmonton, like I said, has difficulty getting free agents. If they don't get any free agents, they'd have to give up assets to get a defenseman. So maybe they've got a line that they're not going to be able to get a guy like Alexiak or somebody like that. So in this case, they said, you know what, we may not get another chance to get the defenseman we want. And let's not forget, Keith has won 2 cups. He's an ex-Norris Trophy guy. And what he says about guys about Montreal having that veteran leadership, especially when you got a young team and McDavid is a young captain, and it was quite obvious in the playoffs that leadership was needed. All of that you take into effect. I think it's a big price to pay, but on the same note, I think Keith will definitely help the Oilers. So, would he be a top 4 defender in Toronto? That's interesting. Would Duncan Keith be a top 4 defender in Toronto? Let's look that up, shall we? I got to get you guys on here. Toronto Maple Leafs. Muzzin, is he a righty? Is he a righty? If he's a right-handed, he probably would be a top 4 defenseman in Toronto. I guess I should check that out. Is he a righty? You don't think he'd be a top 4 in Toronto? That's an interesting one. You got to remember, Edmonton still has to now, they got to get a third line center and they got to get another winger. Now, they're likely going to buy out Koskinen and Neal. So that'll give them some room. They probably still have enough cap space to get the things that they need. Apparently, he's huge on signing Larson. It's going to be interesting to see what they sign Larson for. But Duncan Keith is a left defenseman. So, no, he wouldn't be. He wouldn't be a top 4D in Toronto because he's a left defenseman. So that even makes a lot more teams he wouldn't be a top 4D in. Probably he would be in New Jersey, probably maybe in Buffalo. Arizona right now he would be. But like really good teams, like the Carolina Hurricanes, no way. Minnesota, no. Colorado, no. Columbus probably after they trade Jones, maybe depending on who they get back, but quite possibly no. The New York Rangers, probably not. Nashville, no. Like, really, he wouldn't be a top 4D on a lot of teams. Dallas, no. So, Edmonton sitting in the middle of the pack on defensemen in depth because they got Keith and they think Keith is a top 4D for them. What he wouldn't be in quite a bit of the league, and especially a lot of the league that is really worth anything. You know what I mean? In Vancouver, would he be a top 4D in Vancouver? How much cap room does Vancouver have? Oh, there we are. Would he a top? Probably would be because Schmidt is gone. Yeah, right now he probably would be. He would be a top 4D in Vancouver. But Vancouver's defense is, if they get Edler back, Nate Schmidt is there right now. It'd be borderline with him and Schmidt, I think. So, yeah, there's not too many teams in the league that he would be a top 4D with, for sure. Oh, yeah, you were getting a car. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he would be a top 4 because he's a lefty. If he was a righty, maybe. So there's not much. CL asks first of all, you got to get rid of Voracek, and that's, I guess, the next thing we'll talk about. Then we'll get into Minnesota. I'll change my title. Voracek deal. Now I still say they're gonna have to give up a pick, and I know John off the wall. John, my buddy. Awesome dude. He seems to think that Seattle's going to take Voracek. I just can't see Seattle taking Voracek for nothing at $8 million a year. I could be wrong. If Seattle decides, I know that they need to hit the cap floor, but there's ways to hit the cap floor and get draft picks doing it. So if they decide that they want to be good next year, maybe they take Voracek off your hands. Where are they looking? Why not Suter? Why not Suter that Minnesota just bought out? Suter is a really good defenseman still for his age. He's a smooth defenseman. Why not Suter instead of Dumba? I know you're not going to give him a long-term contract. He's not a long-term fix, but Philadelphia is in a win-now mode, so Louis Eriksson's getting bought out, and then he probably will retire. I don't see anybody. He'll go to Sweden or something like that. Yeah, I mean, Voracek did have 40 to 50 points. He does put up some decent points. Is he worth $8 million? No, not really. But I mean, he is a player that people could covet on the wing. I just don't think Seattle is going to give up, just take him for nothing. I mean, Philadelphia obviously wants to get rid of him. Why would you just, if you know somebody wants to get rid of somebody, why would you just take them? You know, I don't see them. They'd have to have a deal in their back pocket. Who's going to take Voracek and not retain any money or give a player back so they can get, like you said, a Jones or somebody like that? For me, for Philadelphia, what I would be doing is looking for at guys like Chernak, maybe go for a Suter, a Hjalmarsson, somebody like that. For Voracek, then, you know, somebody like that you're not going to have to give a ton of money to. And then I really think they need a shooting winger, somebody like Lion or somebody like that. If the Blues are losing Tarasenko and we retain some money, yeah, I see what you mean. Not involving Tarasenko. Yeah, you definitely have to retain. It's possible, I suppose. I have a hard time figuring out where St. Louis is going. I have a feeling they're sort of in retool, get younger mode right now. So I don't know if Voracek would be a place there. If Philadelphia is willing to retain, Seattle may just take them. You know what I mean? They can make a trade with Seattle anyways. Possibly. But if they're willing to retain, then there's a market for them out there, I think. But if they want to get the full $8 million off, Seattle's the way to go. And hopefully you just have to give up for a second for that. But because $2 million is a lot right now. Think of a retain. Like you're going to retain $2 million. What are you going to retain? $2 million? For Voracek, how much are you going to retain? At $5 million, I think there's a market out there for him. Calgary does weird stuff like that, maybe. He doesn't have a no trade clause, so let me see. Retaining $2 million. Heck, maybe the Oilers. No, we need a shooter, not a playmaker. He's a playmaker. He's going to have to go to a team that wants to win now. Toronto. Montreal, maybe. Nashville, maybe. With money retained, they need some guys to put up some points there. Somebody like that. But you're not going to want to take any money back, right? Because we're still going for defense for Philadelphia. So they got to get a defenseman. Ryan Suter to the Boston Bruins does make sense. That's a quick option to give them some veteran leadership. I like that idea, actually, for sure. I think that makes, out of all the ones I've heard, I think that probably makes the most sense. For some reason, the Florida Panthers, if they can get rid of Yandel, maybe, might be a decent possibility too. But the Boston Bruins, they do need a veteran like that. Depending on how much he wants to get paid, that's not a bad deal. I think it might be the perfect spot for him. He would play, I wanted to find Minnesota. Where is he from? He's from Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. Where is that exactly? Where is Madison, Wisconsin? Voracek to Minnesota, yeah. Now that they lost Parise, I think they're really looking at a center, though. I think Voracek to possibly Calgary, maybe LA. If you're retaining $2 million per year, I think really what Philadelphia wants is to get rid of all of that contract. And I think they're going to have to give up a pick to do it. I would do it. Why not? Give Seattle a second and get the full $8 million and go get what you need. Why screw around? If you're going to lose Voracek, you might as well go get what you need. For sure. Otherwise, you could probably work out some cheap options that might work out for you anyways. I don't think Duclair's going to break the bank after last year, though. Zach Parise back to New Jersey? Maybe. Maybe the Islanders were interested in him before. He's not going to get all that much. He's going to be one of those Perry signings, like Montreal did. I could see the Islanders giving him $1 million. He almost went there before. But what does this mean for Minnesota now? Because this year they save $5 million each. They've got 30-some million in cap space, plus Seattle's going to take a player from them. So Kaprizov, of course, is going to cost 10. I mean, he might be asking for 11 million, Kaprizov, because he might be asking for Panarin money. And he probably deserves Panarin money. Yeah, after that, it's 800 and some thousand over a certain amount of time. It's not bad. But the next 3 years, that's pretty tough. $14 million on your cap? Wow. That's going to be something. I was looking at it. I think possibly Fiala might be let go or traded or whatever. Does that take him out of the Eichel sweepstakes now? Or does it put him in the Eichel sweepstakes? Because they can go on a cheap roster for 3 years, and then once it breaks open, then they got that. So that's interesting. I think you're right, John Weichel. Victor Rask to Seattle makes the most sense now, for sure. Looking through that roster now, they can protect everybody. They don't need to worry about losing Dumba. Victor Rask seems to be the guy, and it makes sense for Seattle to get him since Francis has known him from before. Yeah, I mean, the thing is how much is Fiala get? I think they can get him on a bridge. How old is he? How old is Kevin Fiala? He's been a little bit inconsistent, but he's definitely worth 7 or 8 million probably. Minnesota Wild. But he on a bridge, depending on how old he is, though. I think he's getting up there 24. They may be looking to sign both of those guys up, and that's going to eat a lot of that cap space if they do sign Fiala. For sure. He had 40 points in 50 games last year. 54 points. He's kind of set himself up to be around a 60 to 70 point player. In this league, that's $7 to $8 million a year. And if you're giving, and I imagine Kaprizov gets 11 or 11-ish, that's 19 million of the $36 million cap. And if you look at what they have, they got to fill holes on their roster. They got Greenway coming up next year. Like as it stands right now, how many players do they have signed for next year? Next year is not too bad. They got to sign Kaprizov, and they have to sign, and they may sign Fiala. That gives them, most of their spots are filled. Nico Sturm moves up on the roster, and they hope some young guys take over. And they've got some more cap room to add. Not bad. But the following year, they got Jordan Greenway to sign, and then Bukestad becomes a free agent. They're going to be really filling holes with cheaper options, I think. Jake Gardiner getting bought out. That makes sense. That makes sense. How many years does he have left? Because I think he's only got 1 year left, right? I'm going to edit this. Yeah. Yeah, I am interested in Boston next year as how those young players are going to progress. He has 2 more years at $4 million per. I don't like that. The only reason why they would do that is because they're internal cap, I guess. But yeah, 2023-24, 2 more years. So they're probably going to, have to pay for 4 years. How much? I don't know. You'd have to go on the cap adjuster. But it kind of makes sense. Again, I don't know why guys, offer up a third for Seattle to take Gardner, or maybe a second even. Why have that on your cap? Just offer him up a second, get rid of him over to Seattle. If I'm Seattle, I'm doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'll take Gardner. Why not? I got to hit the cap floor. Take Gardner. Parise, that's different. Those were ridiculous contracts. But Duncan Keith, I would have been calling him up. They probably did and said, hey, you give us a pick and we'll take Duncan Keith. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. The Oilers are going to give us a pick to take him. So I think Seattle would take a second-round pick for him. I think so, yeah. Well, I don't know why they would buy him out and then, leave yourself strapped for the next 4 years. Just give up a second-round pick, bite the bullet. And you got all that cap space to add another good player. I don't know why teams aren't doing it more. Well, I don't think he'll want out of Chicago. Probably not. I did a series on Kane being traded to everyone a little while ago, but after the success they had last year, I have a feeling that Kane's going to be pretty happy there. I'm like you, whoever said that. Evan, yeah, new time, buddy. Just Tuesdays and Thursdays, Evan. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm doing evenings. I don't know if he'll want out of Chicago. If this doesn't go well, if things don't go well, maybe. But I have a feeling Chicago's going to be okay. They just got rid of Duncan Keith's $5 million for the next 2 years and got a third-round pick for him. I mean, these guys are 5:30 to 7:30 Mountain Time, Tuesday and Thursday. Regular time the rest of the days, E-Money. No, Seabrook's done. He retired. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I'd be doing if I was Seattle. I'd be taking guys like Gardner. The only thing about that is I don't know if I'd only do it for a second because right now you got Bean. The thing is if they buy out Gardner now, yeah, they got him kind of screwed. You either take the second or they're going to buy him out. I think that's basically it. I think maybe Seattle's asking for a first because that right now they could get Jake Bean or Brady Shea. I think if they buy out Gardner, well, no, Gardner doesn't have a no trade clause, no movement clause, so they don't need to protect him. So no, that doesn't make any sense. I think I would want a first. If I take Gardner, because I can have Brady Shea. And you're asking me to take Gardner instead. I think I want a first next year, or a first. And if you don't give me the first, then I guess you buy him out. If they buy him out, then if that's not worth it, maybe. Then buy him out, I guess. I don't need Jake Gardner. I don't need Jake Gardner on my team. I could take Brady Shea off of Carolina. That's a decent player who's got value. And I can trade him at the trade deadline for 2 seconds. Maybe even a first if he has a really good year. So if you don't want to give a first, just buy him out. It's way too much, then it's way too much. If I take Brady Shea, he was traded for a first already. If I take Brady Shea at the deadline when every team is scrambling for defense, I could probably get a first for him. Or if I get Jake Bean, I can certainly get a first for him. So it's up to you. You don't want to pay the first? Don't pay the first. Maybe 2 seconds or a second and a fourth or something. But hey, Hockey News Reports, welcome back. Swerve in the house. How you doing, buddy? We are free. I don't know who's going to take Leddy, especially because New York Islanders don't want anything back. Therein lies the problem again. If they don't want anybody back in return for Leddy, they're not going to get much in return. There's another one where if I'm Seattle, give me a second and I'll take Leddy. Yeah. But I'm not going to take him if you just hand him out there. I'm not going to take Leddy. No way. I want at least a second round pick. Yeah, I think Suter to Philly makes sense. Suter's a really good defenseman still at his age. The only thing with Suter is I hear he's like a bit of a problem where if you don't play him a lot, he gets really whiny. But I love this stuff, Hockey News Reports. This is like I like this almost as much as the playoffs. Yeah, look at that. Steele is in the house. Everybody hype for Lauren Steele, Swerve, a little Pearlo dance for all of y'all. All of y'all. Woo! Yeah, I think Landeskog will stay in Colorado. I don't think it's going to take much. I think they already have a deal in place, Steele, and they're just waiting until after the expansion draft, and then they'll put it. I don't see him going anywhere soon. Pearlo dance, yes. We do the Pearlo dance here. Pearlo dance. Everybody now. Woo! Woo! Just wait till I get the Jet O Frolic going. Because we got sponsors for days coming this way. I'm going to get the Jet O Frolic. And I'm going to do this show in everybody's town. So we're going to go see Mercer in his town. We're going to go see Weichel. We're going to go see Serrano. They're in Costa Rica, I believe it is. We're going all the towns, and everybody's going to do the Pearlo dance. That's going to be good times. That's going to be good times. Steele is the master of the Pearlo dance. If he wasn't so busy, he'd be here at Pearlo's House of Spankin' in the back there. He'd be one of the Pearlo dance instructors, for sure, no doubt about it. He would be one of the instructors. But we have fine people, Larry and Priscilla, Cartwright. Those instructors are the finest Pearlo dancers in the land, for sure. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, Steele. Really? That's good to know. Instructor, yes. I still do Pearlo copters. What are you talking about back in the day? We still got the Pearlo copter. Are you kidding me right now? Just because I haven't brought it up in a while. I'm feeling, this is the first evening show I've had in a while, so I'm feeling randy. So like, Pearls of Wisdom necklaces for everybody. Limited edition. Signed by Steele. Everybody. Hernandez. Yeah, get the Pearlo copter warmed up. We're sending everybody a Pearls of Wisdom necklace. Everybody in the land. Yeah. I know you thought, yeah, we're good. Everybody. Oh, don't worry about that list. This one's more important. Go do that. Okay, see? It's done. Look at that. Back in the day, like 3 months ago. I've been talking about it the whole time. Have you been watching my videos? John does the Pearlo dance in his own, by himself. He acts like he's too cool for school, but really, when John is on his own, by himself, and nobody's around, he's Pearlo dancing like nothing. Like nobody's business. Anyways, let's get back to some hockey here, I guess. John is smooth. Pearls of Wisdom necklaces all around. Yeah, buddy. Wait till the swag comes, boys and girls. Wait till the swag comes. There will be Frolic shirts, all kinds of stuff coming. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, I don't care about baseball all-star game. Although I will say, you won't talk to me about baseball too much. I will say that is pretty impressive. We'll get him to do the dance. Don't worry about that. We'll get him to do the dance one day. The GOAT will be doing the dance. That what's his name? That Asian dude that plays for the Angels, I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff. Ace pitcher and like ace hitter at the same time. That's pretty cray-cray stuff. Yeah, I love hockey. I do like other sports, but hockey's my big time. TML! How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the live stream. Showtime Ohtani. Yeah, that is... I don't care if you're a baseball fan or not. That is pretty freaking cray-cray what that dude puts. The numbers that guy puts up as a pitcher and as a hitter, and the speed that guy runs the bases, he is insane. I gotta say, there's no doubt about that. That is a guy that would make, like, I watch baseball because I like the Jays. I watch it in the background while I'm doing stuff and stuff like that. But that's a guy that'll bring people to the diamond, man. That is something else right there. Hey. Yeah. The Bruins, yes, if they win the cup, if we win the cup, we'll definitely have to get him Pearlo dancing. When I get the Jetto Frolic, you'll have to Pearlo dance before you enter the Jetto Frolic. So unless he doesn't want to ride in the Jetto Frolic, he ain't going in. So you have to Pearlo dance before you enter the Jetto Frolic. That's going to be the rule. So I do not think Seattle is going to take Voracek. Oh, yes, no, we were talking about this already. If I'm Philadelphia, I will give my first next year to get rid of that contract. I would do it. I know they won't, but I would do it. But boy, we'll see what happens, because now I'm in on Suter if I'm the Flyers. If I'm the Flyers, I'm in on Suter. I like Suter. You can play him. He's only got a couple of years left. I'm in on Suter. Next year, yeah. Not this year, next year's first. Maybe 2 seconds if I can get away with it. I don't know. I would give up something to get rid of it. And honestly, they could take Voracek. See, they could turn this into a lot. If they got, say, if they got a first next year, they could take Voracek, and at the trade deadline, they could retain $2.5–3 million. And there's somebody out there who will probably give them another first for it. So they could turn this into some pretty good. And then Philadelphia could think, you know what? Maybe they'll think that anyways, and they'll just take them. But I probably wouldn't. It's a big tug of war between these GMs right now. 4 years. Ryan Suter's got 4 years left. That's pretty steep. But, I mean, no, he had 4 years left. They bought him out. So they just got to you can get him for 2 years. Ryan Suter's got a lot of legs left for his age, man. He's got a lot of legs left for his age. His weak flip shot from the point, yeah. I would rather have Ryan Suter in Edmonton than Duncan Keith. I think at this stage of his career, Duncan Keith was a better defenseman in his prime. I think Ryan Suter's a better defenseman now. Well, you said Gardner. What kind of surprise player out there to get bought out is? Like somebody that might surprise somebody and just buy him out? Like that one's, I wasn't surprised that they bought out Parise, but I got to say I was kind of surprised they bought out Suter. And I can only imagine that the main reason for that is they need all the money they can get for Kaprizov. But a surprise buyout. Maybe Eberle for the Islanders. So they could, if they can't find a way to move Eberle, maybe they could buy him out. That would be a surprise buyout. Maybe they got to end up buying out Vladimir Tarasenko because nobody's going to take him because he was injured for as long as he was, St. Louis, that is. Anybody else have anyone? Let's see. I don't know why I can't see everybody. Fletcher, yeah. Enormous loot, but country club all but gone. Spurgeon to Edmonton, yeah. Minnesota's totally loves Spurgeon. There's no way Spurgeon is going anywhere. You didn't say Gardner? Oh, who said Gardner? Somebody said Gardner? I think maybe, like, it's Eberle. I think there's going to be a lot. It's going to depend on a lot of... Eberle is possible. I don't see a lot, but I mean... We're talking about something that'll surprise, so you'd have to think it was like maybe the Vegas Golden Knights. They do crazy stuff. Who would they buy out? Marchessault, doubt it. They could find a home for Marchessault. I don't see a buyout option there. Pittsburgh Penguins might buy somebody out, maybe. Because they're like so behind the cap that, but who? Not good. They're not going to buy out Brian Rust. Jason Zucker. I could see Jason Zucker getting bought out. He didn't really have an effective year last year. I don't think they're going to be able to find a contract for him. If they really had somebody in mind that they wanted to add, I could see that. Besides that, Chris Letang, that would be terrible. They almost got done for Letang out of St. Louis. I don't think they'll ever do that, though. They respect their long-term veterans there. They don't like to disrespect them. Well, it's a lot of cap space, but they got to sign Kaprizov and Fiala. That would take up, they would only have $10 million left, and they got to fill out their roster with that. They can do it. Yeah, yeah. Suter won't cost much, Steele. You can probably get Suter for $2 million. Fiala will probably be gone. I'm not laughing, actually. I did a video today and I mentioned the possibility that Fiala could be gone. I don't know if you know something about Minnesota, about Fiala. I don't know anything about it. I know that he's surprised was traded out of Nashville. Something in me thinks that there's something with Fiala that doesn't work well on a team. But I could be wrong about that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do trade Fiala, especially now that they have all this dead cap to go with, that they have to work with. Their big thing is to sign Kaprizov. And, you know, it depends on what Fiala wants, too. I think Fiala might price himself out of Minnesota anyways, and I could see him going to a team like Buffalo. There was rumors that he was packaged in a deal for Eichel. He was part of the package for Eichel. So, oh, I gotta talk to the doggies here. Yes, it's doggy time. Thank you. Lauren's always on it. I think I gotta put you on the payroll, Lauren. You're on it more than I am. I just realized that myself. So, okay, we're going to be going to doggy time right away here. Be back in a couple minutes. Thanks for tuning in. Go tell your friends. Come along.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
We are back. Okay, nice. It looks like Klefbom will never play again. It sure does look like Klefbom will never play again. After not playing at all for 2 years, I think it's pretty fair to say his career's pretty much over. Which is too bad, man. That is too bad for that dude, for sure. Sad to see. Okay, sorry about that. Sad day indeed. Man, he was a good defenseman too. Like, very underrated defenseman. It hurts. And I think that's a lot to do with why, again, Edmonton didn't want to be left out of the lurch. They didn't want to be left out empty-handed after finding out the Klefbom wouldn't be back. So they ended up, I still say it's a bit of an overpayment. But Edmonton kind of has to overpay a lot. Because not too many people want to go there. Now, talking about that, we have the draft coming up. Well, they have the expansion draft coming up, and we did talk about that. We also have the draft coming up. And one thing I've realized now when looking at the draft, actually in the NHL in general, I think it's starting to become more and more obvious that the players are having more leverage now than they ever did. When you look at the draft now, I think more and more you have to look at where players are from, who they'll be playing with. I think there's going to be a lot of picks made from now on, and we saw it last year kind of with Jack Quinn with Buffalo that was selected in an odd spot for most people. And I think that had to do with the players have a lot of clout now. They have agents, and they'll tell their agents, I don't want to play with this team. I don't want to play with that team. And if you're the Buffalo Sabres, there's going to be a lot of players that are telling their agents, I don't want to play for that team. And then you're also seeing, the cap hit for Ryan Suter. For the first couple of years, it's ugly. What was I looking at? Okay. For the first couple of years, it's almost the same amount of money. It's 2-point-something million this year, 6-point-something or 7-point-something next year, and then 6-point-something the year after that. I'll look at it again here. Yeah, 6.3 next year, 7.3 the year after that. That wasn't too far off from what they were making. They're only saving like $1.5 million. 2023-24, they're saving $800,000. Same as 24-25, and then it's $833,000 for however long. I don't even know how long that was. It's I think it's like 4 or 5 years. They're going to be $830,000 under the cap or off the cap already. I think Maguire will do fine in Ottawa. I'm not one of the people that didn't like Maguire. I actually like Maguire. I think he's a smart hockey guy. He's different. And that's why I like him. He adds flavor, man. There's so many people that are like the exact same. He just adds flavor to the game. He was a different dude. And I kind of liked him. I didn't think he was an idiot. I think he was kind of a name dropper. That was the bad. But he was just different. It was somebody different. I think you got to have guys like that. But now in Ottawa, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be okay. I mean, his role is really... He doesn't have much of a role there. He doesn't have much of a role in Ottawa. Assistant... He's an assistant to the, a player development or something like that. It's not much of a role, so we'll see if he moves up the ladder or if he just took a comfy job because he doesn't want to travel all over the place. I think it's possible that Maguire just took a comfortable job because he doesn't want to travel all over the place. By the way, I want to see if there's any new stuff that has come out. Okay, here we got trade rumors. This just came out on Hockey Rumors. It is well known by now that the St. Louis Blues star Vladimir Tarasenko has requested a trade. But to the extent to which he will go, make sure the request is honored may still be a surprise. Unlike other standout players with trade protection who simultaneously demand a trade while holding them hostage with a limited list of acceptable destinations, Tarasenko basically has told them that he is willing to go anywhere in the NHL. They could have got Doug McLean, yeah. Craig McTavish's son is going to be drafted in the top. That's what I was talking about. Okay, I'll go back to this. Man, I'm all over the place tonight. I'm just so excited to have all of you. I think what will happen is we'll see a lot of surprises now because I wanted to talk about Matthew Tkachuk coming out, basically not really coming out, but it seems that he wants to go to St. Louis. And a lot of players are doing this. They're getting drafted. Panarin goes to Chicago. Now, he didn't get drafted by Chicago. He signed with Chicago, but always wanted to play with New York and told them that. So he signed with them. And then, they ended up trading him and getting Sod back or whatever the case may be. But more and more players are starting to say, well, I'm not going to sign here because I want to go. You got what happened with Jones. We'll find out where did Jones always want to go somewhere? I don't know. I never heard anything about that. Or does he just want out of Columbus? But more and more, I think when dealing with drafting players, they're going to be really paying attention to two things. If they're happy in the city that they're going to be in, and they'll even take a lesser talent that'll be happy. And two, whether they're going to be able to get a real chance on their roster. And then, yes, we've heard about Bertuzzi. Detroit and get Bertuzzi then. I don't know what's going on with that. He got injured apparently. I haven't heard any more about that. But anyways, Tarasenko has a full no-trade clause, has nevertheless provided the Blues with considerable list of teams that he would be ending up with. Staple relays at the length. He basically has said he'll go anywhere. His preferred destinations are the Islanders, though, and the salary cap implications would be tricky. The Bruins, Edmonton, he's fine. Tarasenko is apparently fine with going. Pearlo wants out of the Flyers. He is apparently fine with going to the Edmonton Oilers. Tarasenko, he's, let's see. Word, I lost it now. New York Rangers, Washington Capitals are on the list. The odds are in their favor. One way or another, Tarasenko will be dealt, putting an end to the injury saga that was only resolved once Tarasenko went outside the organization to repair his shoulder. I did not know this. So Tarasenko had the surgery from their doctors and didn't get better. He went outside of the organization and used different doctors, and they fixed him, and who knows what they told them. Wow, that's interesting. Anyways, he doesn't trust the organization anymore. I don't want out of the Flyers. The Leafs would like Tyler Bertuzzi. I think if Tyler Bertuzzi is available, and I don't know why he would be, there would be a long list of people wanting him. Anybody have any idea why this Bertuzzi stuff is coming out? Is it because he was injured last year and they're concerned that it's going to keep on going? Like, why would you want to trade Bertuzzi? I don't understand. Oh, team doctors are low rents. And again, see, that goes to the Eichel situation too, right? In the Eichel situation, he's going outside of the organization for this, and they are requesting this sort of surgery, where Buffalo's doctors are saying, no, he doesn't need surgery. And then he's basically saying, your doctors are idiots, I'm going somewhere else, and this is the way I'm doing it, and too bad. And if somebody else, if you're going to trade me to somebody else, I'm going to tell them the same thing. So there are some suggesting that again, they're going to have to attach a pick to Tarasenko to get rid of Tarasenko for the full contract. Which, if I'm Seattle, I'm looking at Tarasenko, I'm calling St. Louis up and saying, you will take Tarasenko off your hands, but yeah, it's going to cost you. Oh, Serrano, we were just talking about you, buddy. Welcome in. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the stream. We were just talking about Tarasenko and some of the things he was saying. Another guy that's floated out there right now is Pavel Buchnevich from the Rangers. Now, his name has been floated out a lot. I've heard his name quite a bit. Athletics' Rick Carpiniello confirms as much, but does not know the source. This could be a case of simply making calls to the New York Rangers about Buchnevich following a career year. They're not sure about it. But I've heard Buchnevich's name out there several times before. Yeah, but why would Carolina want Tarasenko? They don't really need that. They would get, I guess they could try Gardner and then hope Tarasenko's okay, maybe. I don't think they need to give the first in Palmer. He's good. He's a good player too. I don't think they need to give up a first in that. I really don't. Tarasenko probably doesn't have much value right now. We'll see, but it's going to really depend on doctors talking to doctors, almost like the Eichel situation in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe why his name is being floated out there. If he's asking for a crap load of money that they don't want to spend, it's possible. That's always going to be the case right now. Bertuzzi. Okay, where's Bertuzzi? The talk about Bertuzzi is that Bertuzzi wants to go to Vancouver. Was he born in Vancouver? I haven't looked up Detroit in a long time. Oh, so apparently Vancouver is reneging on trading Schmidt. They're not going to trade Schmidt now. But let me find Detroit's on the bottom here. This could be one of those situations that I was just talking about teams. He would have been on the injured list, right? Tyler Bertuzzi. He was born in Sudbury, Ontario. So I heard he wanted to go to Vancouver. It's possible that Bertuzzi has behind the scenes told them that he wants out of Detroit. That's the only reason why I would see them trading Bertuzzi, is if he's kind of let them know that he's not going to sign in Detroit. And this is happening over and over and over again. That players are just basically saying it's almost like basketball where they tell teams early that when it comes to unrestricted free agency, that they want to go to a certain team or whatever the case may be. So you can keep me until then, but I'm going to go to that team. And then, maybe Bertuzzi has done this with Detroit behind the scenes, and Stevie Yzerman would never put that out in public or allow it to go out in public. What if Bertuzzi was Brotuzzi? I don't get that one, bro. You think Canes will keep Gardner till he's gone in 2 years? They don't kind of seem like a type of team that's going to buy players out. I have to admit. I don't think they don't seem like the type of team that's going to buy players out. Philadelphia Flyers are not trying to trade Sean Couturier. There's no way. Oh, Brotuzzi. Okay. Brotuzzi. But I don't know. I don't see why it would matter to Bertuzzi to go to Vancouver. I wonder, okay, why was he born in Sudbury, Ontario, by the way? He was born after his father retired? Bertuzzi never played in Toronto. Philly needs a backup, all right. I don't know where they're going to find one of those for cheap, because they don't want, like I said, first thing Philly needs to do, if they want to get rid of that Voracek contract, they got to get rid of that Voracek contract. Then they can start worrying about whether they're going to get a backup or not, which they are going to get a backup. But which backup are they going to get? There's not a lot out there that is going to be what they're looking for, I don't think. It's so hard. Philly is such a difficult team because it all depends on Carter Hart. If Carter Hart's not crushing it, it don't matter really. It really doesn't matter. If he's not crushing it, I don't think it matters who they get. That's the big thing. Now, I suppose maybe Dubnyk, but Dubnyk played terrible. Played really, really bad. You might as well just bring Elliott back if you're going to do Dubnyk. Antti Ranta, again, super injured way too often. I've gone down this list before, and there's not much there for Philadelphia to take as a backup goaltender. I don't know, like who do you think they would take, Lauren, for a backup in Philly? Drigger's there. I still think Carter Hart needs a veteran. I don't like the idea of Drigger competing with Carter Hart. I mean, I do think he needs competition, but it's sort of the blind leading the blind. Drigger's just getting used to this league. You know, I think having a veteran there would be very important for them. But on the same note, they can't really spend all that money on that veteran. So if you look down their Dubnyk is out there. Bernier is probably going to sign in Detroit. They bring Mrazek back. Doesn't really make me much that happy. Laurent Brossoit worked really well with Hollebuck, but apparently loves it there, and will just keep on signing one-year deals to stay in Winnipeg. But you never know, if you offered him 2 or 3 years at 1.5, he might come over from Philly. But besides that, who do you got? Oscar, there's not that much out there. Craig Anderson. Halak, give him $1 million. I mean, yeah, I'd be okay, I suppose, but you don't want to play him all that much at this stage. But then it all depends on Carter Hart. Yeah, it's possible. Pekka Rinne retired today, yes. I was surprised to see Pekka Rinne retire, actually. Yeah, not really. I mean, he definitely wasn't going back to Nashville because he did a farewell skate and everything like that last on the final game of the season. So it was pretty obvious that he wasn't going to be going back to Nashville. He had a killer career. Can you just wait 1 sec? I'll be right back. Sorry, somebody was making noise outside. I had to get there. Pekka had a great career. There has been talk about Pekka Rinne. Will they put his name up to the rafters there? I mean, do you think that they'll retire 35 in Nashville? I don't even know if I don't think they have him. Yeah, they don't even have him on the thing anymore to get his stats. He did win a Vezina. Check over his stats. He had 683 games played with 370 wins. Those aren't bad. He was definitely the best goaltender of their franchise so far, without a doubt. Do you think they put his name up? He wants to be with his family more. I don't blame him. Do you guys think that he's going to get his name up in the rafters? Do you think they should put his name up in the rafters? I mean, when it comes to Nashville, there's not too many names to put up in the rafters, you know. Fisher. And even at that, Fisher on most teams in the league organizations wouldn't be getting retired. Did they already retire him? I mean, Josie will get retired in Nashville. If only to say they could. Yeah. Because he's their best goaltender that they've ever had in their organization. So, and he stayed there his whole career. I think it's possible. Hello, Dork. Nerds and dorks are in the house. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, he's definitely their best. He's one of the best players ever. Let's face it. Nashville's never really had great players. They had, Forsberg came in for a cup of coffee, but who's really been Scott Hartnell, Legwand, Forsberg. Forsberg will be up in the rafters by the time it's over. Eric Johnson waves. Yeah, we knew that was. I think we all knew that was going to happen. I tell you, Joe Sakic knows how to talk to players, man. He gets players to do basically whatever he wants them to do. I don't know if he has some sort of magic or voodoo that he puts on players to give, like, McKinnon a $6.5 million contract for. You'll take a 6.5. Watch the contract for Landeskog. He'll get whatever his contract is. You'll be like, what? They got him for just that much. Like he never makes a mistake. I am doing awesome, 100% Dork. I am doing fantastic. I like this evening stuff. We're trying this evening stuff Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on. So when you're in the chats there with everybody, let them know Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and then 3 days a week it'll be days. So, but I thought I'd try this, and it's been fun. I've really enjoyed this. Eric Johnson waving certainly helps him out, but I think everybody knew that. I thought that's what was going to happen with Suter and Parise. They were just going to wave. I wonder if they ended up getting bought out because they refused to waive. I wonder. Why would Parise refuse to waive, though? Maybe not. Maybe they would have waived. I don't know. Yeah, yesterday I did it during the day. Tuesday we're going to do it in the evening. Wednesday during the day. Thursday in the evening. Friday during the day. Eventually I may do all evenings, but I'm going to get a bigger place. So while we are growing here at Steel Flyers All Sports, until while we're growing, then I'll be looking at getting a bigger place. And when I get a bigger place, I'll have my own space. As it is right now, I got a pretty small pad, and my wife is taking a bit of a sacrifice to kind of lock herself in the bedroom to do this. But I wanted to find some time because I know people have more time to do things in the evenings. People work and what have you. So, yeah. So next Monday, by the way, I believe it's next Monday, the GOAT will be on with me. Woo! He's now finished doing his live streams, John, so he's going to be doing more shows with me. We had a disagreement. John thinks, and I think if you've watched his video, you'll know this already, I suppose. John thinks that Voracek is going to get picked up by Seattle because he said he'll be their best player, which is true. He probably would be their best player. There's no doubt about that. I just don't think Seattle is going to be worrying about being good right away. We'll see if I'm right. Being in Seattle, you've got a pretty fair Vancouver fan base there already. It's not a bad hockey town already in Seattle. So it's not like Vegas where you didn't have really, you're starting from the ground up. They've got a base there already. So they've got an opportunity to build a dynasty. And I think with Ron Francis there, that's why they chose Ron Francis, is because that's the kind of way he builds. That's his philosophy for building. He wants to build through the draft. He showed that in Carolina. He's very patient. In Carolina, they said he was patient to a fault. And maybe that's true, but now, Milan Lucic is going to waive. There's a good example. Why wouldn't, if I'm Seattle, I'm like, hey, Milan Lucic, now that he waived his no trade, there's no way they're going to make a deal for Seattle to take Milan Lucic because they convinced Milan Lucic to do it, telling him there's no way they're going to take that contract. So there's no way that they're going to make a deal to take the Lucic contract. So he's going to end up staying in Calgary for sure. If they didn't do that, if I'm Seattle, I'm like, hey, how much do you want to get rid of that contract? And even with Edmonton's going to buy out Neil. I don't know why they don't give a third or something, at least offer up a third. Mark Giordano will be available for Seattle. I don't know if I take him or not. Because you're going to take him to trade him. What do you want a 37-year-old Mark Giordano for in Seattle? You probably take him and trade him and tell him. I think you could trade him pretty quick, though. I think that's a guy, what's his contract like? I think you could trade him pretty quick. He's only got 1 year at 6.7. That's a guy that you could retain $2 million and probably get yourself a solid second-round pick. So there you go. There's another example. Do you not think that Giordano would consider Edmonton? He's in Calgary already. They could have traded Giordano. Seattle can take Giordano. They can retain $2 million because they got tons of cap space and they got to hit the floor. And they could have traded him to Edmonton, apparently for a third-round pick. I mean, isn't Giordano just about as good as Keith? And they would have saved $1 million. Something like that. So, but I think there's teams out there that would still be interested in a 37-year-old Giordano, especially if they retain money. I'm pretty sure if you retain money, you could easily get a second-round pick. Giordano to the Leafs, there's a good one. If retaining money, I don't know about their cap situation, but Boston, Boston, again, is another one. They're going to be looking at all these veteran guys to, which I think are they kicking themselves they didn't keep Chara now? I don't know. Oh, I should change. Changing my title there. Giordano to the Leafs. There's lots of teams that would like a Giordano if they retain salary. If I'm Seattle, I retain salary and I get another second round pick. I would they could get like 6 second round picks next year, or this year, or whatever. Boston, New York Rangers would probably use a Giordano to give it a go this year. I don't know if they would give up that kind of a pick for him, but Winnipeg Jets. What about the Winnipeg Jets? Retain some money. He had a poor year last year, but so did everybody. What did he have for points last year? Yeah, he had 26 points in 56 games. That's not bad. It's actually not that bad. And 31 and 60. And from what I watched, he wasn't playing that bad. He definitely would be a good player for Winnipeg. And I'm pretty sure Winnipeg would give a second for that. Florida Panthers might be looking for. I'm sure they could get a second round pick and retain for 1 year. You're only retaining for this year, and that's it. That's the sort of thing I think I'd be doing for sure. Ottawa Senators, maybe, yeah. Ottawa Senators is a good possibility. I'm still wondering what's going to happen with Matthew Tkachuk. Everything has subsided now. Nobody's saying anything anymore. Was it O'Reilly or O'Brien or whatever his name was? And, he brought it up, and then now it's gone all totally quiet. I think it's possible it could have been just a contract thing, that Matthew Tkachuk was just reminding them that I'm not taking a hometown discount and stuff like that. But they're in trouble in Calgary. They are in a lot of trouble in Calgary. You lose Giordano. Apparently, they're working out a contract with Gaudreau right now, but that could be just posturing. That team could be absolutely terrible next year. That's a great argument. There's a lot of eyes on this topic. What was that topic, sir? Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, he says he wants to play in St. Louis, though. Which had me wondering, if he wants to play in St. Louis, does Brady want to play in St. Louis? Is it like their all-time goal for both of them to play in St. Louis? Or is this just contract posturing? Seattle was the topic, yeah. We've gone through every team and tried to figure out who Seattle was going to change. I wonder how many trades there's going to be before this. Well, we've already had a couple. We had the Duncan Keith trade. Sean Monahan's probably getting traded. There's another one. We did a player from every team, but there's so many players that could be traded yet before that ever happens. We have Arvidsson got traded for a second and a third. Nashville, going back to Nashville, they are willing to make a deal to lose that. I think it's that Matt Duchene contract. Now that for sure will cost them a first this year. And I think they'll be willing to do it. 5 more years of Duchene is going to cost you a first this year. And they got a fairly high first. But Poyle already said that he was interested in talking to it. I imagine that's for Duchene. If I'm Seattle, I'd rather have Johansson. He has more value than Duchene right now. Also, Duchene's poor in the room, from what I understand. So, and I'd still want a first for that. I'm not doing it for a second. No way. No way am I taking Duchene for a second pick. No. I don't need his contract. I don't need him. You can keep him. You can try to trade him somewhere else. They got him by the short hairs there. Who's going to take Duchene right now? Nobody. Nobody. If you're looking to get rid of that much cap space, you're going to have to paste a first-round pick to it. Philadelphia probably with Voracek, and Voracek is a way better player than Duchene, or at least he has been the last couple of years. So, yeah, and Duchene has just been terrible the last couple of years. So, for sure, they're going to have to paste a first-round pick, and a good one at that, to get rid of Duchene. And then they got $8 million to do whatever they're going to do with that $8 million. I'm sure they can get one, or if not 2 players that are better than Duchene. 7th-round pick for who? I should do a mock draft. Maybe Thursday. Because when's the draft? Friday, right? Oh, by the way, I'm going to be on every evening this week. Because is tomorrow night the expansion draft? So we could see a whole bunch of trade stuff happen tomorrow night. Is tomorrow night the expansion draft? I should know this, shouldn't I, since I do this for a living? I should probably know this. Okay. No, it's not tomorrow night. It's the following Wednesday. Okay, it's a week away. So next week, I'll be doing a lot of evenings. And then the NHL draft. Is it Sunday night? No. Is it Sunday night, really, the draft? July 21st. What's today? 13th. 7 days from today. Wednesday. Next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. And then the actual draft, July 21st. Kraken's roster on July 21st. So next Wednesday, next week I'm going to be really busy. because I'll be doing those shows too. And then the amateur draft is the 23rd and the 24th. So Wednesday is the Friday. That's right. You didn't know. Well, now you know. See, that's why you come on here. I actually kind of knew, but I had a brain fart. I didn't think of it. But so we got a week now where there should be a crap load of trades. There's going to be this is what I didn't really understand about the Oilers. There should be a lot of players coming available here. There still should be a lot of teams that are going to want to trade players. Let's look at what does that do for the Edmonton Oilers for the expansion draft now. Edmonton Oilers for the expansion draft. They got rid of it. They're going to protect Keith, obviously. So they got Nurse. Wow. Do they have to protect Bear? Oh, it doesn't look like they have to protect Ethan Bear. Okay, that's good. So, Nurse, Keith, and Larson. So they're not going to really lose anybody. It doesn't really affect them at all. So look for teams like that that can take on a player and it doesn't affect them for the expansion draft to be out there trying to pick some players up for sure. New Jersey Devils can do that. If there's a team in trouble with who they could have to protect, like if Jake Gardner, Slavin Shea, Dougie Hamilton's are UFA, but Jake Bean, Slavin, and Pesci, Brady Shea's out there right now. The New Jersey Devils could afford to take Brady Shea, and they probably wouldn't have to give up too much because they're kind of screwed right now as it is. And I'm pretty sure that they can protect Brady Shea and it's not going to hurt them too badly. PK Subban does not have a no movement clause. So yeah, they can take on Brady Shea and still not give up hardly anybody. So I can see something like that happen. If you can't lose and you can gain, it's logical. So yeah, I think this week we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see teams like the New Jersey Devils bolstering up their defense and basically giving like nothing. Now, think about what I just said and think about Brady Shea and then think about Duncan Keith. You know what I'm saying? How much does Brady Shea make? Brady Shea's making about as much as Duncan Keith for the next 3 years. He's a left defenseman. That's the problem, I guess. But he's young. You probably wouldn't have had to give up all that much to get him. If you're taking his full contract, maybe there's a lot of people out there that might give a second. But you got a younger player at $5 million. Now, he doesn't have cup experience. I think for the Oilers, that there was all of that issue. Is they wanted cup experience and they wanted like a guy that had like a lot of cup experience. Hamilton not worth $9 million. I mean, is somebody going to think so? I I was thinking New Jersey might play that. I don't know if he's going to get 9. He's saying he wants 9. Is he just pricing himself out of Carolina on purpose? Or is there somebody out there going to give him 9? I mean, it's possible. Oh, he wants one more coach on top of Burrows and Richardson? Yeah, I wonder how long Richardson's going to hold out there now. I'm sure there's going to be people knocking on the door for Richardson to be a head coach somewhere. He's earned his stripes, really, right? You thought the Coyotes for Lane Lambert. Yeah, there's a good question. Lane Lambert's come up in Barry Trotz's system for quite some time now. I'm actually really surprised that he didn't get on with somebody. And I don't know. There doesn't look like there's too many coaches out the door for a while. But you never know. I mean, it only takes a team to tank real hard out of the gates. It only takes one team to tank real hard out of the gates. And all of a sudden you could see some. If Philadelphia goes bad for the first 20 games or so, I could see AV being gone. And then, maybe they want to go with a younger guy there. I'm surprised Arizona. I agree with you. Arizona would have been a good spot, it would seem. But it seems like most teams are pretty entrenched right now with the guys that they have. If Vancouver fails horribly, maybe Green. But it doesn't look like there's too many options. You never know with Vegas. I think we mentioned that before. Vegas could definitely do something like that because they've done some crazy firings as it is. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look like anybody will be going to the Rangers for a while, that's for sure, since they just signed. But yeah, the student and the master. He'll get in somewhere, no doubt about that. It's going to be coaches always get fired, so. Andrew Ladd, they're going to have to buy him out, or either there's another one that they give if they want to give up a pick. Isn't he going on the injury reserve though all the time, so it doesn't really go against their cap, except for in the summer, which could propose a problem for them, but they tried to trade Ladd when they signed him. Yeah, that was a terrible signing. That they were talking about that this year where there was a whole bunch of terrible signings there. That was when Eriksson was signed the year. Ladd was signed that year. Okposo was signed that year. Nielsen was signed that year from Detroit. We already went over that. The only one I could see right now is not really on the hot seat. But if Philadelphia doesn't turn it around, maybe AV. And, I mean, Vancouver had a brutal year last year. But for a lot of reasons that make, I wouldn't say Green is on a hot seat. But They like any team that really just tanks hard, you never know. One thing is for sure, the league is not, firing coaches happen. San Jose, Bugner, apparently they really love Bugner there. And the thing is, you can give many reasons why that team is not doing well that are unrelated to coaching. So, yeah, Flames, I don't think Dwayne's going to be there forever, yeah. He's like 70-some years old. I wouldn't doubt that he maybe even starts the year, and they look at a guy like Lane Lambert. That would be a smart move for Calgary. Have that old guy work out all the kinks or whatever and put something in place, and then bring in Lane Lambert. Sutter's philosophy is not that far away from Barry Trotz's philosophy too. So Lane Lambert, that would be a pretty good one. Justin Abdelkader, there was another one. Yeah, it's just a scapegoat. It's a general manager that doesn't want to get fired himself. It's all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, I feel sorry for Calgary's previous coach. I don't think he did all that bad, but I mean, maybe eventually Claude will find a job. It's hard to say, but it doesn't look like it's coming up anytime soon. The next few years, there's a handful of teams that are going to suck. Yeah, Calgary's one of them. Calgary Flames, I think that could be really brutal there. Really bad. Pittsburgh Penguins we'll see what happens next year. You keep on saying that they're going to falter, but they make the playoffs and then they lose right away. Yeah. I don't know if Holland was doing that or if ownership was telling them to do it. I don't know, but he's made a couple moves in Edmonton that I've when he the freaking tourist one. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And they could get their hands on Bedard. The Leafs will suck in 2024? Really? Why do you say that? The cap's going to be more. They're still a relatively young team. I think they could be beasts in 2024. What teams do you think are going to suck, Lauren? I'm trying to keep this going. I'm trying to get. I got one more subscriber today. Woo! Trying to get to 1,000. So, what teams do you think are going to suck? I think if Philadelphia does some stuff and it doesn't work out, and Carter Hart doesn't work out, that could be crappy for a while. The Buffalo Sabres, of course, would be one. Detroit Red Wings don't look like they're getting out of it anytime soon yet. Seattle, probably. San Jose, that could be going nowhere but down. Those teams would probably suck pretty bad for a while. Is that all of them? Is there another one? Boston could. Boston, I think, really, if they don't, I think the Hawks will figure it out. Boston, if they don't go out and they don't sign Hall and they don't sign Krejci, it's time to trade. Just trade Marchand right now. Does Marchand have a no movement clause? I mean, there's no use having. He has an NMC. He's got a moderate no trade clause. Year 7, 15 no trade clause. Yeah, like you might as well just trade Marchand. If you're not going to sign Holland, you're not going to sign Krejci, why fool everybody? Like, it's obvious you're rebuilding. Just rebuild. Just rebuild. Just do it. Then why would you keep Marchand stringing along for patches? Yeah. No, they trade Marchand for sure. It would be for Bruins are old. Yeah. They're not getting any younger. Their window is like closing, like now, now close. It's closed. So I wonder if it's sort of they're doing that. They're just not telling anybody right now. Like Krug, really, when they let Krug go, wasn't that sort of setting the alarm bells off? Are the Bruins as old as me? I think I'm a little older than the Bruins. At least one, and I don't know how they're going to get a number. I don't think they need like a number one. But they, we were talking about the trade we were talking about that I think works. Kucherov, or not Kucherov. Yeah, that would be lovely. The Washington Capitals, Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov for Fleury. That would be the tough one, trading Bergeron. Trading Bergeron would be the tough one. That would be the tough one, for sure. I don't know. That would be... I think that's completely up to Bergie. If you trade Marchand, maybe Bergeron says, maybe it's time for me to go good. Well, if they're trading Kuzi, they'll have space for it because Kuzi makes $8 million. Get Fleury back. Vegas needs a center. They'll quote roll the dice. Kuzi would be their best center by a long shot, assuming he can keep the powder out of his nose. And yeah, you can only trade Bergeron if Bergeron asks to be traded, I think. All right, I'm glad you loved it, man. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, your culture leaves with that one. You're starting all over again. As soon as you trade Bergeron, you're starting all over again for sure. It's a complete rebuild. But really, what's left for Boston? They might have a 1 or 2 year window, and then they're going to have to do it anyways. They're just simply going to have to do it anyways in 1 to 2 years. Marchand will probably be good for a long time. But they don't have people coming up in their organization that can take these spots. They don't have much depth in Boston. If you just think, they would have been fine if they would have took Barzal and Connor instead of DeBrusk and Sinishin. No, I'm out of. I'm still a huge Flyers fan. I think I like the Golden Knights more than the Oilers. Why wouldn't it work for the Knights? I mean, are they going to be able to get a better center than Kuzi? And Fleury, they need a center. And the thing that's preventing them probably from getting a center is the fact that they're paying Fleury and Lehner so much money. So I say trade them for each other, because they're going to have a bugger of a time trading Fleury. And Washington's going to have a bugger of a time trading Kuzi. So why don't you just trade them for each other and see how that works? Washington could be a contender. Oh, yeah, they got more on the cap, but how many years is left off on Kuzi's? A couple, right? So so Vegas has got to add to the deal. Or, sorry, how does that? Washington's got to add to the deal a bit to butter it up a bit because of that. But, I mean, Washington's window is closing hard. And if they had a Vezina goaltender there, they might have a chance. They could win one again. And Vegas's window is actually closing. I wouldn't say it's super hard, but if they don't have a number one center, they're probably never going to win it. Or at least a number two, a solid number two. And they're probably not going to win it. Washington Capitals. 4 years. That is heavy, but he's only 29 years old. You know, Washington could add a pick or whatever to even it up because they got to take the extra salary. If he really likes it in Washington. When is Canada's border open? I think it isn't. I don't know. Is it not open yet? I have no idea with what they do in Canada with what that is. I know we're not wearing masks anymore. They can't. They'd have to get rid of. They got to get rid of Kuznetsov before they go after anybody. That's the thing, Warren. I don't think Landeskog is going anywhere. I think Landeskog's going to stay in Colorado. I just can't see them. I can't see him going anywhere. Oh, Vegas. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt. I mean, I don't know if Landeskog can play center, but they really got to get a center. Anyways, guys, I should finish it up here. Got to get to bed. So tomorrow afternoon will be tomorrow afternoon. And then Thursday evening. Yeah, they should open soon. We'll see. But, okay, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. And then, again, we'll be back Thursday evening. If you want to come on any of these times, I don't know who my guests are going to be. But we're going to have guests again. And then Friday afternoon again. And the Frolic will be, I can just imagine all the stuff that's going to be coming into the land. It's going to be great. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, bye.